Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm originally from Texas. I spent a majority of my childhood, early adulthood there before I moved to New Mexico. I left New Mexico after quite a few years, and I really did like New Mexico. I've always wanted to see the Pacific Northwest, wanted to see the Montana area, Idaho. So I moved around a bit before landing back in Texas, in El Paso specifically, for a little while, and then I wanted to be closer to my family. So I spent a little over a year in outside of Austin. The past year, like to 2024 into some of this year. Before I moved back to New Mexico. It's funny because moving back to New Mexico wasn't planned at all. And I don't typically share like a lot of like my partner struggles, but that is the biggest factor of why we left Texas so soon. When the whole point was to go there for family. I mean, keep in mind my family was in doing their own thing. I think we saw one person the whole, I don't know, like two people the whole almost year and a half, a little over a year we were there. And that's a whole nother disappointing story. But yeah, my partner had probably some of the worst depression, bordering on suicidal um, thoughts that he's ever had. And while I will never take back that year because it gave me two of our huskies, and I know he feels the same because he like really bonded with one of the with Sky, the only girl husky we have. We call her like a daddy's girl as a joke. So I'll always consider Texas home. Even though I tried to get away for so long, I because I wanted to see other places. I always wanted to travel. And I still do. I just open my arms a little bit more to Texas. And for those of you like wondering why was that so hard, or if it was your home, why was it so difficult? I never felt at home there. I never felt like I fit. I always felt like this outsider. Growing up, even among the friend groups I did have, or the couple of friends I did have growing up that were like my best friends at the time, I still felt like I didn't belong. I still felt like so uncomfortable, miserable, unhappy. I was such even angry because of certain family dynamics at the time, but very unhappy. I was a very unhappy kid. I was bullied a lot. That didn't help. um, it it just wasn't something I ever thought of and thought of good memories, right? I mean, there were certain things that were good up until a point that I'll always value, and even then I look back at it and and like some family dynamics that were good that have never been the same since, and that was from multiple factors. But Texas just never, growing up, just never felt like home. But as I've gotten older and going back, aside from my family dynamics now, and aside from just the dysfunction, the drama, the loneliness I've always associated with it, Texas itself is something I've come to very like learn to embrace and appreciate. Um, so even though I probably will never live there again. I mean, yeah, never say never on one hand, but on the other hand, I never said never when I went back to be closer to family for a little bit. That was my giving it a chance, the last go. That was my last like hurrah for living there. Um and that just showed me how much it's not in my future, right? Which is fine. It's fine. So much good came from that. Like I said, the pups were like, they're like my pup kids, guys. I'm a proud husky mom. But because I open my arms to appreciating it, open my arms that it's still home and treasuring that I still did grow up there. And it still means a lot in a lot of ways. So with that being said, when I see like not a consensus, but I see a lot of people who don't live in Texas, especially, talk about how red the state is and quick to disregard it. And trust me, guys, I'm like face palming because I never thought I would be on here or anywhere defending Texas. But the people of Texas are not as red as you would think. They are not as red. It's unfortunately Texas as like a state has been red for a lot of, been red historically, but people, especially people in power, try really, really hard not to let Texas go blue. And that includes spreading as much rhetoric as they can to say otherwise. Okay? Because they want people to believe otherwise. They want people to give up on Texas. They want people to disregard them like they're already a lost cause. They are not a lost cause. Texas is not a lost cause by far. Okay? But I will say what this admin, especially because Texas is a lot of rural areas. Yes, it has some big cities, but it is a lot of rural areas. I grew up in a very rural area. And the thing is, because of that, like all that space in between each other, all that, those small towns that are so isolated in a lot of ways, these representatives, these politicians, they really do see the weaknesses in this, and they do play on that. They prey on that so well because they're so good at spreading misinformation. And when you come from these rural areas, I can't really like fully explain the mindset of like you really are trusting in these people, in these representatives that are going into office. You really trust that they're gonna have your best interest in mind, that whatever they're doing it for the best. Because you don't think these things are gonna happen. You don't think these things like that you see in movies, like with these politicians or these billionaires or the top 1% with these insidious agendas. You don't think that's going to be real. Even if you think that like, oh, there's going to be one or two out there, you don't think it's going to happen. And you don't expect them to prey on your weaknesses, to prey on your lack of knowledge in politics, to prey on your lack of knowledge of how they use rhetoric and how they use media and how they use that to spread misinformation, how they use even legal documentation. Even like, for instance, when they put out these bills and they put out the descriptions of these bills, they don't really tell you what they're for. They don't give you the full clear cut, this is what it is. They try to misdirect you. They try to like the first sentence kind of like say, oh, this is to help this. But if you actually read the bill, it is not. It's to benefit the politicians. It's to benefit the people in power, not to you. It is almost always taking something slowly away from you, especially the people in the rural areas who can barely make a living. Okay? I mean, it's always a wonder how we made it paycheck to paycheck growing up. Like it doesn't. It's like the math ain't mathing at times. And somehow you persevere. But they try so hard to throw you off, confuse you, to take advantage of your belief in them. And one person in particular in the last couple of years, yes, I know there's Abbott. Okay, don't even get me started on him. But Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas. Okay, so if you don't know, which I'm just gonna say it, like in case you don't know, there is a cold front, a very big cold front coming into the southern states, Texas included. Texas is never prepared for this. They have not, and their reps, even after the couple of here, for example. This is noteworthy because Ted Cruz abandoned the state of Texas during Winter Storm Uri in 2021 to vacation in Cancun. He also left for a vacation in Greece when Texas was hit with deadly floods in 2025. Texas has never ready for these. And even though there's been instances of really bad weather in Texas, like I remember really bad floods here and there growing up. They don't put enough, the representatives don't put enough stock into resources, into building the infrastructure to help with this. Because I'm telling you, going back, the infrastructure in so many ways is so much worse, has degraded, okay, over the years. And they have not done shit about it. And then this is what happens. People were joking, saying, eyes on Ted, because, where's he going to go now? This man was spotted, was it yesterday, on a plane heading to Laguna Beach as the state of Texas braces for a rare ice threat and Arctic cold front. This man makes the choice to leave Texas for because he can afford it. Ain't no lie, he can afford it. Leave the state of Texas, the state that he's supposed to represent. And, people keep on not saying this. And obviously the politicians aren't going to say this. They're putting these in these positions to represent and protect and to make sure that the people and I say protect as in making sure that your constituents are taken care of. This man doesn't do that. He leaves. He abandons them every fucking time. And then you got, the little note was quick to remind us, all right? I remember him leaving in Greece. I remember people in Greece recognizing him. That's how well known him doing this shit is, all right? And guys, this is like an underlining joke that he does this. You laugh it off and you're like, ha ha, at first. But then as you continue to see that he continues to do this, and then he'll go on national TV and he's not hiding anymore about who he is, okay? He said, and I'm serious, he went into office to support Israel, all right? The state of Israel. That is his priority. So is his priority going to be making sure Texans have what they need? No, he's going to make sure he takes all the money he can so Israel has what they need. Who's never going to have enough, by the way, not when you're conducting what you're conducting right now. And and then you wonder why you're struggling as a Texan. And you're quick to believe them. You're quick to believe that immigrants are the problem, or you're quick to believe that the drag queens are the problem, or you're quick to believe someone else is the problem. Because they want you to believe that. And they prey on your... Guys, I come from a religious background. They prey on the inconsistencies and contradictions of your beliefs in that Bible. They prey on the worst pieces of it to turn you against other people. So that you stand behind them as they hurt others. And inevitably, as time goes on, you're going to feel it more and more. It's going to happen. I know maybe some of you will be there saying, no, that's not going to happen. You don't know what you're talking about. It's going to happen. If it's not, it's already happening. You're just not feeling it yet. That's the thing too. It's already happening. And the more money you have, the less you're going to notice until it's too late. I'm just saying. But anyways, y'all, don't write off the people of Texas as a majority yet. But I'm going to say for sure, write off Senator Ted Cruz. And here's the thing. I'm going to say this every time. Guys, we put them in office. We have the power to take them out of office. We have the power to stop what's going on right now. We have the power to shut the system down. But the thing is, they've done such a good job at making us believe that we don't need to do that, or it's going to be okay, or this is like normal. We just got to wait it out. Or this is not as bad as everyone's saying. Or they want you to believe you don't have that power. And if you notice, the more and more people realize that they actually have that power, the more and more Trump's throwing a fit. And the more and more threats you're getting. He's threatening you because he is threatened. All right? Don't forget that. So keep the momentum up. And more people, please join that momentum. I don't care if you identify as Republican, MAGA, if you're Christian, it doesn't matter, guys, because right now we really need to make sure we don't end up in a position next year where it's hard to imagine being in a situation that you can't get out of, but they're going to be able to do a lot more, and a lot less people are going to be able to speak up at that point. So we need to do it while we can, to make sure this never happens again, and to make sure people like him don't get away with running off and leaving their constituents behind and leaving their constituents in the dust. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in for my thought rant of the day. I don't know, this is kind of like interesting. Like I like that I'm able to expand on my thoughts on some of these, because I can only put in so much when you have a word limit. And I don't know, I feel like people will hear more if I'm talking rather than if, you're reading at times. But catering to different audiences, giving everyone a chance to tune in. But yeah, guys, stay safe, stay warm if you're in Texas. It's gonna get cold, and I'm really hoping that a lot of the grids don't get funky and you guys lose power again, or water. But if you do not look towards your fellow Texan as responsible. You want to look at who's responsible? Look at the man in the picture. All right, you guys have a nice day.